Hello, students. Today, the content of our story is electrical fire and explosion prevention measures. First of all, the general measures of electrical fire and explosion prevention. The first measure is to eliminate flammable and explosive substances, including two aspects. Prevent the leakage of flammable and explosive substances. Strengthen the seal to reduce the source of flammable and explosive substances. Production equipment for flammable and explosive substances, storage containers, pipeline joints and valves, etc., should be tightly closed and frequent inspection and monitoring to prevent flammable and explosive substances from running, bubbling, drip, leakage to other phenomena. Is fully ventilated in order to effectively remove the site flammable and explosive gas. Vapors, dust, and fibers are to reduce their concentration to not cause fires and explosions. It is necessary to maintain good ventilation and accelerate air circulation and exchange. Eliminate all sources of electrical ignition. For special electrical installations, such as electrical installations that produce sparks, arcs, and dangerously high temperatures during normal operations, arcs and dangerously high temperatures should not be installed in explosion and fire hazardous areas. Electrical installations in explosive and hazardous places should be installed according to the hazardous place level. Reasonable selection of explosion-proof electrical equipment type. Electrical equipment and wiring should be arranged, should be protected from mechanical damage, and should be dust-proof, anti-corrosion, moisture and sun and rain lighting protection measures. Electrical equipment should be reliably grounded or zero connected in explosion and fire hazardous areas. The metal casing or of each electrical equipment should be reliably grounded or zeroed in order to touch the shell grounding short circuit can quickly cut off the power supply. Prevent short circuit currents, generates high temperature and high heat. Explosion and fire ensure the fire distance and ventilation of electrical equipment. Maintain fire separation. To prevent electrical sparks or dangerous temperatures from causing fire. All electrical appliances or equipment should be installed. Avoid flammable and explosive materials. For electrical switches and electrical equipment that generates sparks during normal operation, the distance from the place where combustion materials are stored should not be less than 3 meters. Seal the equipment. When installing electrical equipment in explosion hazardous places, sealing measures should be taken. Electrical equipment that generates electric arcs, electrical equipment that generates electric sparks from flammable and explosive substances. To achieve the purpose of explosion proof, it is necessary to maintain good ventilation. Transformer room generally use natural ventilation. If the use of mechanical ventilation, air supply system should not be connected to the air supply system of the explosion hazardous place, and the air supplied should not contain explosive mixtures or other hazardous substances. Hydrogen may be discharged from the battery compartment. Therefore, more attention should be paid to good ventilation. Explosion hazardous places for accidental exhaust. Controlled switch should be located in an easy to operate place and properly managed. The power supply of the ventilation system must be reliable, should adapt double circuit power supply. Is the correct selection and installation of electrical equipment. Selection of electrical equipment. First of all, the fire hazardous places, selection of electrical equipment, sparks during normal operation, and electrical equipment with high surface temperature should be kept as far away as possible from combustible materials. When selecting electrical equipment, should be based on the level of the place, type of electrical equipment, and conditions of use. Secondly, selection of electrical equipment for explosion hazardous areas. Selection should be based on the type of explosion endangered places, level and the conditions of spark formation, and combined with the explosive mixture. Hazardous to choose. Finally, the selection of hazardous places line wire for fire and explosion hazardous places. Line conductor should meet the general safety requirements in addition to should also meet the fire and explosion requirements. Should have sufficient mechanical strength. Insulated wires should be laid through the steel tube. Heat resistance, etc. After equipment selection, installation of the following points of attention. A. The installation of the conductor should not be damaged during installation. B. Dangerous places are not allowed to install sockets or temporary wiring in dangerous places. At the same time, it is strictly prohibited the use of electrical heating appliances. C. Open-air installation should be rainproof. Snow measures. Porcelain pipe should be used in high-temperature places. Asbestos. Heat-resistant insulated heat-resistant wire in places with corrosive media should be used. Lead skin line or corrosion-resistant through the pipeline. D. Explosion hazardous places. Metal parts of all equipment should be metal piping and the building's metal structure all grounded or zero. E. Explosion or fire hazardous places. Installers should be wear acrylic clothing and socks made of nylon and polyester fabrics. Gloves, scarves. The tools used should also be plastic or nylon, should not be used as much as possible. To prevent equipment malfunction and overloading, prevent short-circuiting of electrical equipment, there are these measures. Installation of electrical equipment should be strictly in accordance with the requirements. Conductor installation strength must meet the requirements of the power supply voltage. 220 volt insulated conductor, selection of 250 volt grade. 380 volt insulated conductor, selection of 500 volt grade. Regular use of installation resistance meter. Test equipment installation. Discover the problem in time to deal with between wires when laying lines. Distance between conductors to the ground and to the building should comply with the requirements of the safety distance. Through the wall or through the floor of the wire, porcelain or hard plastic pipe should be used to protect. To avoid wire insulation damage, should be installed with fuses and protection devices so that when a short circuit occurs in the line, can quickly cut off the power supply, prevent overloading of electrical equipment. There are two main ways. First, the current through the wire shall not exceed its safe load capacity, cannot be added to the original line of electrical equipment without authorization. Second, the capacity of electrical equipment to match the actual load power. Do not big horse-drawn carts cause waste. The sixth measures of fire and explosion prevention is to prevent electrical equipment installation aging. Choose the installation location according to different environments. Avoid heat sources, direct sunlight, and corrosive media place. Prevent excessive contact resistance. Wire-to-wire or wire-to-electrical equipment terminal connections should be in good contact. In the parts that are prone to excessive contact resistance, can be painted with color-changing paint or placed on the temperature display plate. Easy to monitor. Let's take a look at a case study. On November 14, 2006 at 10:43 p.m., a fire broke out in an old residential building. The fire area was about 400 square meters. The fire caused 15 residential houses were burned to different degrees. The fire started in a 3-story brick structure, 9 rooms on the ground floor, 7 rooms on the second floor, 5 rooms on the third floor. After the fire, the entire building except for 2 rooms on the southwest and southeast sides of the ground floor haven't burned. The rest of the rooms burned. The second and third floor slabs were partially burned through. The roof of the third floor partially collapsed. The fire caused 1 death, direct property damage of 1.1 million yuan. After investigation, the accident was caused by the following 3 main reasons. First, in the aisles of the rear door on the west side of the ground floor, electrical wiring on the distribution board on the south wall short-circuited. Ignition of wire insulation and surrounding combustibles. Second, private connection. Indiscriminate pulling of wires. Some of the wires have been exposed due to aging. Third, fuses are replaced by copper wires. Electricity board using wooden materials. Preventive measures. First, must strengthen the residents of electricity safety and fire prevention knowledge propaganda, especially the old residential areas. Wiring complex, cluttered piles of more chaotic, plus if the residents' safety awareness. Fire prevention awareness is weak. It is very easy to cause accidents. Second, prohibit unauthorized connection of electric wires. Insulation agent. Exposed wires. It is easy to cause a short circuit. If there are flammable substances nearby, it is very easy to cause fire. Third, strengthen fire inspection in old residential areas. Implement corrective measures. Prevent fire accidents. Part 2. Explosion proofing of industrial plants. Explosion proofing of industrial plants. First of all, to determine the production of goods, fire and explosion hazard category. Then, according to the fire and explosion hazard category, determine the fire resistance class of the building, number of floors, area, and set up the necessary fire separation, safety evacuation facilities, explosion-proof pressure relief facilities, and surrounding buildings, such as fire separation. Classification of fire and explosion hazards of production goods. Solid is based on the physical, chemical properties, and fire hazard characteristics are categorized. Liquids are classified according to the flash point. Gases are classified according to the explosion limit. The fire hazard of production. The fire hazards of production are categorized according to the fire hazards of the objects used or processed in the production process, are categorized according to their fire hazard. According to the Building Design Fire Code, GBJ 1687 is divided into 5 categories. You can check the table to see the corresponding fire hazard characteristics of different production categories. Let's look at the plant explosion-proof measures. Explosion-proof measures for plants generally include 3 aspects. First, explosion-proof pressure relief. Second, relational consideration of the building layout and the building itself layout. Third, the selection of explosion-proof electrical equipment. Plant explosion-proof pressure relief measures. Mainly the following items. A. Explosion hazardous A. Plant should be used open or semi-open type of plant, and should use reinforced concrete columns, steel columns, load-bearing frame or rack structure. Steel columns should be fire protection layer. B. There is an explosion risk of A. B. Explosive hazard A and B class plant. Necessary pressure relief facilities should be provided. Pressure relief facilities should adopt lightweight roof, doors and windows that are easy to relieve pressure, or lightweight walls as pressure relief area, lightweight roof as pressure relief area. Lightweight wall. The weight per square meter should not exceed 120 kilograms. C. The ratio of pressure relief area to the volume of the plant is appropriate to use 0.05 to 0.22 explosion medium more powerful, or explosion pressure rise faster plant should try to increase the ratio. D. The combustible gases that are lighter than the air vapor. Combustible vapors of category A plant, it is desirable to use all or partial lightweight roof as pressure relief facilities. Let's look at a case study below. October 13, 2018. On that day, an Enterprise Industrial Park suddenly high-power inverter explosion accident caused 3 power supply line due to the reason. Interruption of power supply for nearly 2 hours. The economic loss is about $1 million. After investigation, the incident unit, in order to improve the reactive power factor of its power supply line, reactive power factor, reduce reactive power cost. It was decided to install an on-site dynamic reactive power compensation device. Local dynamic reactive power compensation device. But the factory only cared about calculating economic accounts, did not hire professional electricians. Instead, they found 2 unlicensed part-time electricians installation. As a result, the inverter short-circuit explosion failure. In addition, the factory for the power supply line overcurrent. Protection setting value is seriously inaccurate. Eventually caused this power supply line power outage accident. Preventive measures. First, electricity users should have some general knowledge of safety. Equipment installation should hire a professional and qualified company and personnel. Second, especially for electrical equipment with capacitors or rectifiers, electrolytic filter capacitors, if not installed and used properly, there is a certain risk of explosion. Fire is extinguished in prevention. Disaster in the lab ignited. I hope that students should develop good working habits, have a good sense of work safety. When living in peace, think of danger. Preparedness is not a danger.